All right, just a quick one. The customer states that he has a rough idle from time to time. His check light will flash, and you see his temperature gauge fluctuating. Right. So he replaced the radiator cover, the temperature sensor. He removed the thermostat, and I believe he said the radiator had clogged on him. Right. So he replaced the radiator, and he visited various shops, and they said nothing is wrong with the engine. Right. So he brought it to me, asked if I could check it out for him. Upon scanning the vehicle, I saw that you got a DTC on engine side of the vehicle, and also you got some various codes with the TCM and the ABS and stuff like that, right? So I'm just gonna redo the scan. I decided to just make a little quick video for anyone who experiencing this problem, where they see the temperature gauge fluctuating from time to time, and the check engine light is coming on, right? So I suspect that it's a blown head gasket. So I'm going to grab my tools to see if it's the coil or the plug, or if I can use a secondary waveform to kind of get some guidance on this vehicle, right? I'm not sure it's a faulty coil. I mean, if it is, you said you got some coils in the vehicle. If it's plugs, then we gotta change the coil and the plug, right? But he did mention that he replaced the radiator cap, the temperature sensor, and he removed the thermostat, the both of them, right? This carry two thermostat. So as I said, I got a P0301, right, which is cylinder number one misfire, right? I'm gonna back that up and just double check to make sure if it's the ignition or if it's an injector or anything like that, right? But on top of that, matter of fact, let's do some, probably get some guidance, right? I'm gonna check the misfire counters to see exactly if number one has the issue, right? I probably put a pulse sensor in the exhaust or something like that and just verify the misfire, right? And as you can see, we're seeing 583 counts on cylinder number one misfire, right? So the problem is in number one, right? So I'm hoping it's not a blown head gasket, but if it is, you got to replace the head gasket or replace the engine. It's up to him, right? But as I said, for now, I'm not sure exactly, but I'm gonna just do a RC test to, first to eliminate any mechanical issues. And matter of fact, let me just take this vehicle off, and so we can see. Hold on, real quick. All right, let's take this engine off so we can just verify what we are seeing. All right, so we got the engine off. So let me just pull out the analyzer and see what exactly we get. Right, so I also saw that the overflow bottle had excess coolant, right? But as I really think is the head gasket in this one, right? So this is number one secondary waveform. You see my burn time is really low, man. It's like I don't have no burn time on number one, right? And this is number three and number four, excellent burn time. But number one, number two, they're really short, right? So is it that the coolant is washing away, or I'm not sure exactly if he's topping up the coolant, but number three and number four burn time is excellent compared to number one and number two. Especially number one is really bad, right? Look at number one, man. It's just like laying out. He's not even giving you any kind of ramp or anything like that, right? This number three, and as I said, this is number four. So I really believe that we have a mechanical fault, seeing that the thermostat, he said sometime when he switched the key off, the temperature gauge just go up, but it don't go up like to H, but it definitely goes up, right? So I really believe that there's a head gasket issue that he has, right? Because number one is like, I'm not getting any spark, right? I can pull the plugs and do a relative compression test and all that good. Matter of fact, let's do a relative compression test. Yeah, so number one definitely looks suspect, man. Number two is okay. No, it's not, to be honest. Number two is leaking out also. So could the compression be leaking across, or the coolant going in the coolant bottle? I'm not sure, man. But number three and number four is okay. But I'm definitely gonna go after number one, right? All right, so let's pull out the scope and do a RC test, right? I'll definitely go into the exhaust and the radiator bottle, right? So the blue waveform is the current clamp around the battery. The red is a number one sync. The green is a exhaust pulse using a pulse sensor, and the yellow is on the radiator cap, right? So as you can see right now, I'm not seeing no dead holes or anything like that. I'm looking at number one. So that first hump with the red, that's number one cylinder firing, right? So I'm not really seeing anything that's telling me I have a low cylinder in compression in number one, right? But I'm looking for any like spikes, especially in the gold, the yellow waveform, right? I'm not seeing anything out of the norm, right? That's telling me that I have a compression issue in number one, using the pulse sensor in on the radiator cap, right? So everything looks clean. So I'm not sure exactly why I'm getting that like the gauge is fluctuating up and down, and also I'm seeing my RC test is telling me everything is good, right? I gotta put some filters on that, but I mean it's actually telling me that it's real good compared, because if, so let's say the blue was like low, right, which is on the red sync, I would have saw like a spike in this yellow waveform telling me that the coolant is leaking over into number one, but I'm not seeing that. Right now I'm seeing everything looking, okay. So is it a head gasket issue? I mean, do I trust what I'm seeing, or should I dig deeper, probably do a leak down test and see if it's leaking into the coolant reservoir or the radiator? Everything looks okay, man. This is number 3, this is number 4. Everything look relatively okay. So I mean, let me do the easiest thing. I'm gonna just take off this radiator cap and fill it up, make sure that all is, it have coolant, and then let's see what. First thing you gotta do is make sure that you top up the coolant in the reservoir and also in the radiator, right? And then next thing I'm gonna do is just gonna crank the vehicle and see exactly what is going on, right? So let me just ask the client to give me a hand from the crank while I'm watching the coolant. All right, grip. Hard. Stop. Okay, go ahead and start. Start. Wow. Hey, so that's it, man. Shut it down. We're gonna replace this head and gasket or this engine up to the customer what he wanna do. And big thanks for watching. Hope you like the show. Later.
Yeah. Good talk.